All right, welcome to your reading. So I have had some technology issues lately, and well, I've never actually tested it out. It's been the last 2 days. I've never tested it out on like with a recorded reading like this. It's been with live ones, but um basically somehow, some way, I come back here and my Wi-Fi is being dicey, at least on this computer. But then, like on other devices, it's working well. It's just very, very weird. But um, it was mostly when I was doing like when I was doing live sessions, right? To yesterday. Um, like they could hear everything I could say, but then I can hear them. So it could just be like, that one way. Um, I want to test something really quick. Test, test, test. There's this like status bar that seems to indicate that things are working well. So let's just go with it, see what happens. Hope for the best. So, anyways, got your chart pull up here. I'll let it take out names. So, this. So let's kind of. I usually share the screen, but now I'm kind of like scared because if I share the screen, I won't be able to know if it's like disconnected or not. I don't know. We'll see. I'll probably go back and forth. But anyways, so anyways, so we have here a Pluto rising, very very strong placement in Libra with a Aquarius moon and a Sun conjunct Venus and Jupiter. Wow, that's beautiful. That's such a blessing to have your sun as a midpoint, essentially, between Venus and Jupiter, like the two most positive benefic planets. Just like it's almost like your sun, that Leo part of you, is just like surrounded by like a guardian angel and like a divine angel, you know. Like such a great marker of good karma and of you being someone who can really manifest the highest vibe of Leo. Um yeah, really it's really nice. I don't think I've seen that, to be honest. I don't think I've seen a chart that has Sun conjunct Venus and Jupiter like in this way. I can't even think of one that has both, you know, those three conjunct. That's very rare. So I mean, obviously, it's going to make you super Leo, super Leo, and of course, the the answer to like what is good Leo, what's bad Leo. I made a post about it, and you know, at its core, it comes down to how like the low vibe Leo, and I'll share it. The low vibe Leo seem to like take a lot. Okay, actually, it's still showing me the status bar. Cool. So I can tell if it messes up. But the low vibe Leo tend to, I guess, take too much from like the external validation. Um, and there can be attention seeking and just really the whole everything you hear about, oh, Leo show off, blah blah blah, right? And it's ultimately when they when they feel like they don't um I mean there's so many different ways that could have come up, but the core essence of Leo is authentic self-expression, And authentic self-expression is, for example, art therapy, or being able, like, doing something creative for the sake of just doing it, not really with any goal in mind, right? So, um, that's very, very important. And to have, and you look at the opposite sign, and you say, okay, well, Aquarius, right? That's about individualization. Um, so it's very important for for Leo and Aquarius to be in positions where they've really found themselves, where they've really gone through that process of understanding that they are not like everyone else, that they have like a special creative purpose, and yeah, to just not be in that people pleasing mode. Now, for you, with your North Node in the 12th, um, and in Virgo, very important axis, and Saturn on the North Node, interesting. Um, that makes you a South Node Pisces, right? So the past life tendency is very mystical. And they're in their opposite houses too. So it's like it's a Libra rising, right? So it's all about finding a balance between, for you on a karmic level, between Virgo and Pisces. So I talk about that a lot. And when I think about like Virgo, when someone's too Virgo, right? Because we all have all these axes in us, right? Regardless of whether we have the plants or not. Um, they're both very service oriented, so that's clear that's like a big thing for you. Um, being there for people, being there for humanity. That also shows. Okay, so it just disappears. It's still recording. It is. Oh man, how long is this gonna go? God, well, hopefully it only happens a few times, but at least it does show me when it disconnects temporarily. And I've had this happen, and it did. It was all in one recording, so that's good. That it doesn't get deleted. But anyways, as I was saying, there's a very there's a massive part of your chart that is about humanity, being finding the right group, the right groups of people, the right friends, and really, really trying to accomplish something that's for the good of the planet, right? Um, and as an Aquarius, or I mean, as a 11th house sun, it's going to give you, it puts that axis, right? Aquarius Leo, it makes that very big, and especially with your moon, you being born on a full moon, which oftentimes indicates divorce, or at least like a very big difference in terms of mindset and worldview between mother and father. That puts that axis into emphasis as well. So I really gotta speak on both. Um, but that access in general, right? Just the pure essence of being a Leo sun, Aquarius moon is very interesting. Um, because it just shows me, um your South Node Pisces, right? So the tendency is, you're a mystic. You are you're a mystic naturally, right? A past life mystic. Now the thing here is that there's a need to there could have been a tendency to be more of a daydreamer. Um, when you're balancing Virgo and Pisces, right? It's about looking at like, okay, too much Pisces is the person that like has all these unbelievable, imaginative, creative ideas, um, and this and that, but they don't put them to practical use, right? Um, but they're very good at kind of seeing the big picture in terms of like, not, and this goes with like the Virgo, like kind of like, what can happen with very Virgo people sometimes is that they can take on too much, especially students too. They can take on too much of that kind of like, every day provides potentials for new things to be anxious about. Um, so when there's too much Virgo, it's someone who, because of that, right? Because of that, like there's always something to worry about. They lose that oneness, right? They lose that faith. So to balance the two out, it's like about having that Pisces just trust, that trust in the infinite, that trust that everything will, is going to work itself out. But then also to have that Virgo, which is about the step by step basis. So if you tie it to spirituality, right, it would be, let's say someone who, or let's say like let's say someone's like a really really amazing artist, right? They have all the ideas. That's the Pisces, right? The imagination. But to actually manifest that, there are steps that need to be taken, right? They need to promote themselves. They need to actually put out music. They need to write songs. They need to do all of the little things. So Virgo is so good at understanding that, and understanding that you can't just have these like kind of lofty ideals and just expect to get somewhere. And that's kind of what I see from this configuration, is that it's really a quest to see yourself as a part of the great whole, the greater whole, right? Of all being. And kind of really learning mind over matter when it comes to transforming, these, I guess, self preoccupations into that oneness, into that spiritual unity, right? And then of course Pisces and Virgo is, it's all about service, right? So it's like, being of service to other people. Um, so yeah, there's a big need with the South Node Pisces to overcome that tendency to daydream and feel overwhelmed, right? Because Pisces can feel very overwhelmed by by those Virgo steps. Oh, it's so much work, or maybe they like there can be like self-delusion, like kind of lying to themselves, right? I don't see any squares to the nodes either. So yeah. Although let's see, because Neptune is 8 degrees. It's kind of like just like limit. But if we want to add Neptune, as a square to the nodes, and we could speak about how, yeah, there being a skip step around, you know, belief, which kind of goes hand in hand. I'm gonna go back to share mode. Um, a skip karmic step around that exact uh concept of letting go and just trusting. And also whenever I see that, I always think of like someone who in some way had their dreams kind of shut down in a past life. And yeah, like unresolved material around meaning, around dreams and ideals. So maybe it's played out in this life as well. I'm not sure. You definitely have a chart. Like I always try to connect like the sun, the moon, all those personal planets that are more like psychological, that have psychological functions, with the outer planets, which are more about our karma, right? And I try to see, why does this person have this chart with these energies, which are going to present in their day-to-day life, right? And in their overall life. And then also, these outer planets and asteroids, stars, all that stuff, aspects, blah blah blah. So, um, yeah, a lot of times with this, there can be like loss of meaning and disillusionment, also despair. Um, so yeah, but also can really represent an unresolved dream. And yeah, like I was kind of saying, like, let's see, return to the meeting. No, I was in the meeting the whole time. Okay, well, let me just see. That's so stressful. Okay, okay. So it says return meeting when sharing the screen. Okay, gotcha, got it. So yeah, like if you did grow up like in a household where things were kind of stringent and it was tough to express yourself and all that, then it would make sense. So yeah, just like the need to allow yourself to dream, but also to know the steps that it takes to get there. Um, so also there's like this big with the Virgo Pisces, this like difference between personal fantasy and like objective reality. So yeah, a lot of times people who have this square, there is like a spiritual crisis and transformation that comes. Um, but sometimes there can be someone who like there can be like drug addiction or like some form of like of escapism that comes also, right? Like it can be because like basically it's like someone who's lost their spiritual way in past lives, even as a past life. And of course, like having the South Node in Pisces is gonna kind of push that statement away a good amount, but like you could think of it more so like someone who probably like was conditioned and pushed in a way that kind of led them away from, and this is the connection, you see, pushed in a way that led them away from finding their authentic sense of self, right? So then you might wonder, okay, why am I a Leo Aquarius? Well, pretty obvious. Those are the two signs that are the most individualistic, the most about finding yourself, right? Um, Aquarius moon, Aquarius in general is the water bear. It's a sign that is rebellious, that doesn't just do what society tells it to do, right? It does what it wants based on its true self. And having that as your moon sign, it's going to make you naturally rebellious. Um, so that's very, very powerful because it's kind of suggesting that, by an Aquarius moon person, they're not gonna just do what they're told, right? So in the fifth house, it's a house of Leo, your son. Um, it is a little bit hard with like well, it's hard being born on a full moon, right? I mean, it's completely different energies, but you'll be very, very independent, very self-reliant. Um, Also, because they're both fixed, it can be a little bit judgmental and um egocentric, just by these two together. It can make someone like, who is, kind of prepared to feed their ego all the time. Um, it can make someone superficial, judgmental, like kind of like God complex that you associate with those two signs. But those are just potentials, right? But really it is someone who is very, very committed, like their ideals and what they believe in, and ambitious and eccentric and just like independent, right? So being a Aquarius moon can give a level of detachment, which can make one a very, very good leader. But it can also it can complicate relationships in the sense that that like like the Aquarius moon person can care so much about, like, let's say like it's like a cause, right? Let's think around a cause, like saving this kind of animal, right? But then in their personal relationships, they need tons of space and freedom, right? Tons of space and freedom. And they you know there can sometimes be that, like, grass is green on the other side type energy, right? So yeah, but like, so in romance, obviously your moon sign's so important. There's, the in Aquarius, moons are very good at giving other people space because they understand the need they have, for space themselves. But like, to be double fixed sun and moon, you're just going to be very focused, so much endurance. Like when you set your mind to something, you just go, right? Um, but yeah, there can be difficulty with like the flexibility part. Um, so as a Libra rising though, which is interesting, Libra rising is very agreeable, right? Um, so I wonder how that dynamic plays out, because Libra risings are infamous for people pleasing and for not wanting to rock the ship. But then as an Aquarius moon, it's just a given that you're going to have tendencies, emotional tendencies, that are going to, make you want to rock the ship, make you want to be different, right? So a lot depends on the mother, and if the mother was seen as kind of like a more detached, more eccentric, and you had like a good relationship with her, then that's good. But if she was, seen as that way, but there's a bad relationship, then it can make it so, you can have lots of difficulty, like kind of having that vulnerability and that forming that closeness and those real emotional bonds, in like adult relationships. Um, so yeah, like the detachment with the moon in an air sign is like like moon in Cancer versus moon in Aquarius, right? Same thing happens to both. They have the exact same, like, kind of like life, right? The moon Cancer person, they cry about it, they get it all out the system right away. The moon Aquarius person, they might trust logic over their emotions. Like there can be a distrust for emotions. It's like probably the least emotional sign, Aquarius, right? Which makes them great leaders because they can, like, they're not emotionally led, so they can like really see everything, even like within the pressure of situations. And like I think of like a general in an army when all this stuff's happening, and they're still able to kind of, and it's not like a sociopath kind of thing. It's just like, they're just more aloof. I have a lot of Aquarius in my chart. It's very misunderstood because they do really care. They just care in a way that's just very, very unique and different. Um, Another thing that I love about Aquarius moon, that a lot of people don't like, is that they like to love from a distance, you know, and the whole like closeness and cleanliness, like that doesn't really fly for them. And we'll see what the rest of the chart says. Um, so yeah, that they really like have this need to be like to have friends that are on that same kind of wavelength with them, like intellectually. And yeah, that need for independence of thought, independence of action, all that. And really, like, it makes complete sense. I mean, already what I've said so far, like, is very, very, like, makes so much sense to me. I mean, you have been disillusioned and pushed away from, you know like it's like your ability to dream has been pushed away in past lives, even though South Node in Pisces, like it can also be looked at with a square Neptune as, yeah, someone who maybe was like self-delusional, in the sense that like they fooled themselves into believing that this way of living was okay, right? Um, so yeah, really good social skills, also ability to like rise above like confrontations and see, like, all that stuff, like really keep the Aquarius moons keep their cool for sure. Although the Leo is very fiery, so yeah. But yeah, there can be like kind of like a lone wolf energy also. Um, I already talked about like the humanitarian part of it, and yeah, and a very very good networker. Um, and I think yeah, Aquarius moons are just they're refined, you know, very very civilized, like just really good like people skills, you know. And very inventive, very creative, very future oriented, and outside the box thinkers, you know, just outside the box thinkers. And they have a need to surround themselves with people and environments and with a purpose that in a relationship and all that is that is like that. So like, you know, what I was saying before, it's like because of that disillusionment, you've been given the two signs that are the most like, related to really going within the self and finding like that creative purpose, that create Leo is about inner child. So it's like as a Leo sun, maybe that's something that was pushed away from you in past lives, and you're trying to really in this life reclaim that inner child, that ability to just be smiley and just have fun, just let go and not like be overly serious, right? Fun loving. Um, So yeah, just like so innovative, so freedom loving, and yeah, eccentric and yeah, all about rebellious and just very very non-stagnant, very non-stagnant. So yeah. Um so with Leo, you like and just with this opposition, right? There's gonna be like this slow and steady like movement towards whatever goal, right? um so super ambitious, um usually that they want to really help other people out. um they, as a Leo, really really feeling that your life has this very deep creative purpose. um and yeah, just this very like just that whole kind of like individualization is so important. And really that desire to have your destiny in your own hands, right? So it's like it's not someone who's like really influenced much by other people. And that's important for it not to be. um but they are very influential to other people, and they're very good leaders, really good at like getting people to do great things. Kind of like trendsetters also, right? Like they'll never copy other people, but other people will copy them. um it's funny because I have these two signs also, and I'm just like, I was thinking about it, like Leo Aquarius, like hate, like one of the worst things you can tell someone who has that is like, oh, like you remind me of this person, like there, it's all about originality and it coming from you, being special, right? Because it is two very special, it's two of my favorite zodiac signs, right? Um, yeah. So I was gonna say, talk about the determinism, and yeah, just the need for differentiation and the kind of charm that the Leo brings, so much charm and so much gregariousness. Um, and just like, yeah, I really want to make the world a better and different place, you know? So, um, and then Venus being the chart ruler in Leo makes someone very passionate in love, which is obviously very different than the moon in Aquarius. So we'll get into love stuff a little bit later. But like overall, well, I say that, but like, you know, this combination definitely does make more of an expressive lover. Um, so sometimes you have to watch out for like, yeah, that need for approval of others, with like the relationships. And they need their partner to be like their number one supporter, you know? And they want to feel the same way about the partner, right? Um, like really feeling a lot of attention and praise, like because you are 1,000% a very unique person, right? And by the way, I haven't looked at any of your photos. I don't know what you look like. I don't know anything about you. I have faint memories of our conversation, but like nothing that can actually like really remind me about you, right? I use this on purpose for every client. So, but you're definitely special. You know, you definitely have like a really sharp intuition. Moon Aquarius, like it's Uranus, so it's like the fact that you book 2 readings, it's like okay, I'm a very very good astrologer, right? So you were able like you were able to see that and then act on that. That's that action, right? Um, which is kind of like a an indicator of a leader, right? Someone who sees something, who sees an opportunity, and who just acts on it. You know, why waste time? You know, so yeah, I think one important thing is to not get stuck in a trap of thinking you're better than other people. And by the way, I don't think you think this. And this is a Leo rising with the moon in the fifth house in a Leo south node with Venus and Mars in Aquarius. So like we're both in this together, you know, we both have similar energy with this, right? Um, but one thing with this is like some people with this, and I've seen this in non-spiritual people who have this placement, like I know quite a few models actually who have this, which is interesting, right? Because I talked about like the kind of like potential for like God complex. And I definitely have seen that in those people. That's very subtle. Um, like it's very subtle with when the Aquarius is more dominant and less subtle when the Leo is more dominant. For you, the Leo is obviously more dominant, right? Um, but it's not. It's better to think that one's just different as opposed to better or worse, you know? So yeah, like with relationships, like if someone tries to tie you down, like you're out. It's no chance you're out, right? Because you need your space to like really express your ideas. Like I can give you an example from my life, right? This doesn't even have to do with relationships. Like I'm back home right now and I'm speaking completely freely. Um, at whatever time, at 2 a.m., right? When I was at my mom's, I love my mom and all that, like I felt judged because, I like to go to bed later and I like to do my work at night. Now I'm changing that to where it's not as extreme as it was, but like, that's a good example, right? Of like people with Aquarius are just different, they have different. I also have a sixth house Uranus, right? So it's like my routines are gonna be different. But like yeah, so just if someone tries to tie them down and control them, like sooner or later they will get out of that relationship. But all in all, if someone gives them that loyalty and really like the best thing you can do for someone a Leo Aquarius person is give them that space that they're asking for, Um that's really Aquarius. Leo is a lot more touchy-feely and sensitive, but you know, and they will repay you so much, and be very, very loyal. People like give like Aquarius a bad rep, but like really Aquarius is like because it's so misunderstood, um, you know, like that's just low vibe Aquarius that will do that, just because of like that potential to be so disattached, right? So yeah, very committed. But they need to like be able to express their individuality, their weirdness, their their not kinks, their is that the word? Yeah, kinks. The little things that are different about them. Um, kinks and quirks, I forget the word. Yeah, they need to be able to express that inner child. Um, if they can't, then it's going to be really really bad. That individuality, and they need relationships where they can continue to explore that, right? In your case, with the North Node and South Node where they are, someone who can help you, like find meaning, but really the meaning is found within yourself. So it's not someone who necessarily has to teach you something, and maybe you're married or something. I don't know. Or you actually, I have your compatibility reading yet next, or yeah. So, yeah. So it's interesting. I'm saying all this. So we'll see what that says. But yeah, just someone who really gives that space and gives that yeah, that it's almost like that, what's the word, that that not platform, but yeah, just that arena, not arena, there's a word that people therapists use in US, kind of like a safe place, safe space, um a container, there it is, who like provides that container where the person can really be themselves. Okay. Well, the second time that my Zoom shut down, it's like about 10, maybe 8 seconds, and it comes back. So it's not so bad. I can live with it. But anyways, it does kind of throw me off a little bit, but barely. So yeah, I think yeah, it's very, yeah, for the romance part, it's definitely yeah, very important to have that safe container and all that. But yeah, being a Pluto on the ascendant is very, very important, right? Because that makes you a very powerful, very insightful person. Even though you're a Libra rising, you can have like a kind of Scorpio rising vibe. And people notice when you're around, right? And it's another great one for leadership. Because Libra risings, they're very diplomatic, they're very good at sorting things out, but the Pluto with that gives them this ability to kind of have stronger boundaries and just not be messed with. Because like yeah, Libra risings can always be balancing out the scales and very, very thoughtful, but also very indecisive. So yeah. But like Libra risings, a lot of their relationships is connect their life. Why did I do that in my brain? Their life is connected with relationships, with two relationships. So not just romantic ones, personal and professional. But what they can do is they can spend too much time thinking about like the needs of other people. Um, so you it makes for a great diplomat, makes for a good at anything that requires that, right? That requires that that uh that energy. But yeah, the Pluto rising makes adds like a like don't mess with me vibe, a Scorpio vibe, where it's like like I'm observing everything, I'm seeing how it is, don't mess with me. Because yeah, it is a very transformative leader. That's kind of the key word I would say with Pluto in the first house. And a very powerful personality. So that can obviously rub some people the wrong way, especially the narcissists in the world. So yeah, but like it's someone who's like pushing people to like kind of embrace change, and to see things from a different perspective, right? Libra. So to have a Libra rising, it gives you like this ability to like have that intensity of Pluto, but then to stay in a very sweet Venusian way. So then the chart ruler being, Libra, or excuse me, Leo, Venus in the 11th. That furthers having Jupiter and Venus. I've made a post about this before in the same sign. It mean and sign slash house. Like it means that sign slash house is just boosted, mega boosted. So that's Leo. So that's incredible, right? And your sun is right in, but so it's like 10 for 10 degrees for Venus, right? 15 for well, it's 10, nearly 11. Let's call it 11 for the sake of this, right? Yeah, it's basically 11. So it's 11 for Venus, 10's at 15, so that's 4 between them. And then Jupiter's at 19. So in astrology, it's called a midpoint. So your Venus Jupiter midpoint, this beautiful place, is on your sun. That is a blessing from the gods. Like literally, that is so abundant. That adds so much luck and good fortune to your life. So much meaning, so much ability to dig deep into that well of optimism, even during the toughest times. And it makes you very, very popular. 11th house to have, and you have Mercury retrograde too in Leo, which is interesting. But like to have all of that, it's gonna make someone very popular, right? It's gonna make groups very, very important. So yeah. And someone who can really, once again, I keep seeing leadership, and even Saturn on your North Node in Virgo is asking you to be to step up and to take responsibility in this lifetime. So that's giving us a further clue of the past life story, right? Is that you didn't take enough, you were too much in that dreamy Pisces land, and you didn't take enough of that like kind of like Saturnian kind of like realistic approach to your goals, your dreams. Um so yeah, I think also, Saturn North Node is making someone very generous, and very lucky, very and good for self-confidence. All that Leo energy is very good for self-confidence too. And really courageous, Um so yeah. So also, I think it definitely makes them like approach life with like a certain gusto, a certain like regardless of of the consequences, like taking risks and stuff, spiritual risks. Um Also travel and anything like spiritual will feature in your life. Um so yeah. And then 12th, it's just like giving you like Saturn 12, giving you like a more serious approach to the esoteric and to connecting. But also it's a difficult placement in that it's asking you North Node conjunct Saturn from a different perspective. It's asking you to get past the Saturn 12th house, which is like a lot of times, and this would have in the Saturn turn that a lot of this probably would have been resolved. People with Saturn the 12th, they can have lots of like phobias, lots of like fears of anything hidden, right? And like they feel that way because they sometimes feel like their boundaries are constantly being threatened, right? So basically it kind of takes this like this need for this like um deep dive into the kind of like more hidden realms, so that's why like Saturn 12th house people like a lot of times like they can be skeptics. But then the Saturn turn hits and things happen that kind of push that away, But it's a really difficult placement. I have to be honest with you, right? Because there can be like lots of self-limitation. and it can actually add to that fear of dreaming, right? That I talked about earlier, the current fear of dreaming. It's on your north node, so it's really like now this is interesting how I'm kind of like piecing this together in different ways. How you're really being asked to allow yourself to dream of all possibilities in this lifetime and to your limitless potential. So yeah, it can definitely like keep someone away from like achieving their like deepest inner wishes, you know. Okay, what else besides this? I'm gonna open up my notes about this placement just to see it. Yeah. But so it's not really near the ascendant. So and it's not aspecting Mars or Pluto, is it? In a hard aspect. Have we seen already? No. You have Sun square Uranus. Ooh, that's an interesting one. I know that one well. And Pluto is all nice aspect. That one, I don't know if I'm back yet. Wait. That one took like way longer. I mean, and now I'm back. That one took way longer. That just it's just like I'm talking and then Zoom disappears and it goes in this like scrolling thing. God, I just have to complain to my landlord today because our laundry thing is just like it's just like he got us like a new laundry machine. Just like it sucked from the start. You know, it worked for like 2 months. Like literally, like we had like an older fridge that was fine, and this is off topic, but whatever. Um, and then it was replaced by one now that's like more modern, but there's way less room for stuff, you know? And the washing machine, the old one broke. It's like not my fault. It's an old ass machine, and now he replaces it with just like a shitty one that has like less space and just like doesn't work. Like it literally just does not work. Like it does not. It like ruins clothes. It doesn't clean them. So like basically the point of me saying that is that like I just told him about that. He's like, okay, I'll buy a new one. And he's like, be also like be careful. It's just annoying because it's like I'm very careful with everything here and things just break, you know, like out of my control. Like one time it was my fault, I paid for it. So yeah, but like now with this Wi-Fi, like I don't know what this is. This is like new, you know. I just got back here and it's like it works on my iPad. So I'm like, I don't know, is it my computer? Like it's just like I've done all my like the Zooms I did, my iPad worked perfectly. So it has to be my computer, but then my computer, like it wasn't acting like this when I was on my mom's Wi-Fi. That's what's so confusing. I don't know. Maybe there's some like hack or something. I need to talk to like someone computer savvy. Maybe I need to make a story about it like right now. 1 second. Miss 1 second. Miss. Get this after. Anyways, yeah, I'll write that after. But okay, so yeah, basically Saturn the 12th, it's like a serious examination of the hidden realms is basically needed in order to conquer the fears. That's part of that um, that Dharma. So yeah, it's really important. Um and Yeah. Okay. So with the Sun square Uranus. So this is actually no, I was gonna say more about the cycle. I was gonna my notes. Let's see. Oh yeah, yeah. Okay. See, these are like little things I forget about. So the unconscious worries and guilt can come from this a lot. Like feeling responsible for things that you shouldn't. Um, and then like melancholy anxiety can appear. Not wanting to talk about your deep thoughts with anyone, suffering in solitude, like really wanting like appear well in the eyes of others, and like so like hiding these things. But what the interesting part of this that I've seen is that people who have this sometimes they can almost like enjoy their own suffering, which totally goes with like a lower south node in Pisces. Can be like the energy like self victimization and like an unconscious part of them kind of liking it. Um, yeah, just kind of shutting themselves out from connection with other people. And yeah, really messing with the self-expression, which is like such a huge part of your chart. So I imagine that like it was like your Saturn return that really opened up a lot for you. And just like yeah, the key to it is like yeah, being able to like have a sense of humor about life, which Leo is so good at, especially Jupiter and Leo. Um, not take things too seriously, and yeah, to be able to open up, right? Also, huge part of this one, and you have Black Moon Lilith here too, so it's like double is hidden enemies. I don't want to scare you. I'm just saying that like people can be jealous of you, and there can be people who are like hidden enemies. So what do I mean by hidden enemy? Um, my interpretation of that is is someone who let's say you might not think is an enemy, but really is. You know, like let's say like it's like you have like a friend, right, who's been your friend forever, but secretly they just like talk shit about you, or even someone in your own family, right? So that's difficult to deal with, but it's good to know about and to be aware of, right? So yeah, just like it makes someone like usually quite solitary, but yeah, it's just about kind of like being having your sun in Leo and Moon in Aquarius is going to push a lot of that away. That's for sure. Um. So yeah. Um. But yeah, like with the Leo Aquarius, like spirituality is so key. Like because there's so much potential for anything with that place with this placement. So, but there is a need to get, especially for you, for spirituality. If not, then you can be in this kind of like meaninglessness, kind of cycle of like, what am I even doing? So yeah. What else about this kind of Sun combo? Yeah, very just persuasive. Someone who has endurance, someone who can be like a salesman, like of anything. You can sell themselves. It can be, like really, really good. And usually, they're people who keep their word, who have confidence. It doesn't just, not fake confidence, real confidence. Um, and also I think of both of these signs is very optimistic and very, yeah, very, very shiny. So it's important to not have people that come and try to steal that shine from you. Um, and yeah, yeah. Very optimistic about the future. And with all that 11th house, just like social life, just being so important. Sometimes the Leo with not Leo, like with Aquarius moons, like they're like partners, like it's really important to have the right partner, right? Because there can be like lots of misunderstanding. Um, like I said, but their friends can literally matter more than their lovers. Like not more, but people in this world are so obsessed with like relationships and this and that, which of course are like romantic relationships being the end all be all. But the Aquarius, they think differently. And a lot of times, like they value their friends like, as much or more than their partner. Or it's just different. So also I want to see you have Palace conjunct your moon. Now that is crazy. Wow. Um, Pallas is like Mercury, but like the third eye version of Mercury, right? That's how I think of it, at least. Um, Pallas was the daughter of Zeus, right? Born from her father's head after he had swallowed Metis. So basically, it's about like strategy, reflection. So when you add that to your moon, it just emphasizes this like almost chess, like this ability to kind of like be playing chess and strategize and formulating a plan before making any big emotional leaps of faith, which is such it's a born strategist, right? Such a good leader, such a like by the way, like you can watch all my readings, you won't see me like saying like, oh, such a good leader, such a good leader. Like I say things as I see them. Now with all this said though, um oh yeah, you do have your Mars and water. So you have water, you have air, you have fire, earth. Do you have any personal planets in earth? No. So no earth. So I don't have earth either. So basically when you lack earth, you need to make an extra, extra, extra like you really have to make it important to have a good routine and to ground yourself. So get out and hike, garden, um, have a routine that appeases your physical, spiritual, emotional, mental, everything, and if you can't stick to it all the time, that's fine. But try your best to have structure in your life that you can fall back on. Because with no earth, even though you do have fixed energy, right? Like Aquarius and Leo, it's fixed. So it does help that in a sense. No earth is still going to be difficult, right? Okay. So, and do you have any, like, too much of any elements? I mean, you have four planets in Leo. You have a stellium in Leo. It's not too much, but yeah, I mean, like, yeah, too much Leo. I don't even have to really go into it. You know what it is. Just too much me, 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 me. But then you're an Aquarius moon, which is about the we. So it does kind of balance out. Um, the moon is also opposite Jupiter, interestingly. So and yeah, so that is basically just a warning to not go overboard. And as a Leo, there can be a tendency to go overboard. To not leap before you to not forget to look before you leap, right? And also there can be a real tendency for self-indulgence. So sometimes people have this like they could have like an overindulgent mother, and there can be like too much of attachment to like the comforts of life, right? So yeah, because what can happen with that is that the person with that can like lack the motivation needed to like leave the nest, and lack motivation to achieve goals and be unrealistic and all that stuff. So um yeah, also like putting other people on pedestal and like kind of like not having that faith in yourself. So yeah, it's all that moderation with these Jupiter ones. But besides that, it's all good. It's all good, good, good. Moon, in Mars trining, that's just adding like assertiveness and motivation and self confidence, all that stuff, right? Really someone who can like rise to the challenge. Now with the suns, okay, so sun is conjunct. Yeah, okay. So we talked about the conjunctions a little bit, and then square Uranus. That's the big one. Um, so in square Uranus and Chiron, which are they together? No, so it's a T square. A T square that shoots out in Aquarius. Fifth. So really it's like let's talk about these first and then that after. So Sun and Jupiter, like basically when you have your Sun conjunct Jupiter, you just are a very optimistic person, really, really enthusiastic about life. Just very, very positive, and you track that. Like the real zest for life that's recognized by other people. It gives you a very nice aura that attracts other people. It's just you have to watch out for being overly Jupiterian, overly Leo, right? Because that can be too much fire. And when someone has too much fire, it's almost like it burns. Like it's almost like when you're around someone who's just like so much energy that it kind of ungrounds you. It's not just fire, I've felt that with Gemini a lot too, right? Um, in different aspects for sure, yeah. So that. And then the sun and Venus, that just like adds like a very that helps out all this so much to have the sun, the Venus, the chart ruler on conjunct the sun. I mean, one super creative and just like how, and I don't know if you're an artist or not, but like, you know, like when I say creative, I'm not talking about like, oh, you need to be a painter, you need to like do this or that. Like, yes, it would be great for you to have a creative outlet. I mean, your moon, the fifth house, is literally begging you to have one, right? Because it's through that you can find yourself. But really, I think of an artist is someone who designs their life to fit their true unique being. Myself, for example, I'm an artist. I have, found the country I love to live in that's completely unconventional. Um, and I'm an astrologer. So it's little things like that, right? That's an example that came to my head. Um, but yeah, this just makes someone like really affectionate, really enjoying the company of other people. It just adds like a chillness to the Leo, a love of art and beauty. Um, yeah, just charm, gentleness. Um, but then like Venus in Leo by itself in the 11th, it's someone who has who attracts like I said attracts many friends and can be like the peacemaker within those groups and just like really really loves their friends and loves to have fun and laugh with them and yeah and the Venus and Leo like I said it's like it's really about having fun and creativity within your relationships and that inner child energy within your relationships, which I already kind of talked about, right? Um, yeah, really want to be proud, like really wanting to be proud of your partner, um, and have them proud of you, which goes with the sun there. Um, so this is what's really interesting about your chart, right? Well, one of the things. So 11th house stellium, 11th house, usually the life purpose doesn't develop until later in life, the real life purpose, right? Um, so and you already have four planets there. So it's like, you know, that's very interesting, right? Um, then you have Sun square Uranus, which is the aspect of aspects of someone who has a very distinct life purpose, right? Now, also Sun 11th, it's you benefit a lot through your friends, like friends, associations, whatever, groups of people that are like-minded. They help you gain success. Like it's like great for networking and connections and stuff, right? And benefiting a lot through alliances, like groups and friendships. And because you have Venus and Jupiter there, it gives you that luck and that beauty and expansion. You have Jupiter there, Mercury there, which we'll talk about in a little bit. Yeah, if you're doing things that are humanitarian, it's like the best because your North Node's in the 12th house, which is literally asking you for that. But yeah, there's a huge need with that. Like I said before, the Saturn life, a little there to have to protect yourself spiritually, to have spiritual protection. But yeah, okay. So Saturn, adding to the South Node story though, Saturn opposite the South Node, that goes even further with my theme that I come up with of past life conditioning. That some force like kind of pushed you in past lives away from Neptune, which is the infinite ocean of oneness and real spirituality, real connection with God, into like the more material world. So that's like literally another um yeah. And then you have Black Moon Lilith conjunct North Node too. That's very interesting. And wow, I don't even know what to make of that one. And what sign is it in? It's in Virgo. I know I'm getting a little bit off. I was going to talk about that aspect. But Black Moon Lilith is kind of your self defeating. Okay, it went away again. Awesome, love it so much. I want to retest the sound again. Okay, test. Connecting me to this. Test. Test. That's so weird. Just away from my test from the speakers I was using. Although it kind of sounds from the test from just my computer. Let me see. That actually does sound better. It's just I can't really move too far away from it, but it does actually sound better. So I'm gonna stick with that. Anyways, so yeah, I got interrupted. I was speaking about like just just the Black Moon Lilith and North Node together, and just how that can you know like Black Moon Lilith is like the kind of primitive impulses, your rawest, um, self-defeating behaviors, all that stuff, right? North nodes were obviously where you're trying to get to. So if it's there in Virgo, there can definitely with Saturn there can definitely be a potential for perfectionism, right? And for being very self-critical. And you're trying to, and that's a karmic thing, right? So and that's from the Saturn opposite South node. So I think you're really trying to move away from that and move towards something where you're judging yourself based on your values. So yeah. Um, hmm. So I think so Lilith and the North Node together, when you think about it, I think there can definitely be like a struggle with sexuality because Lilith is very sexual. Um, and it's almost like something that needs to be mastered, right? So being like comfortable with that sphere of human nature, but in Virgo it's it's I think it definitely takes on something of like also when you're being of service to not go over like the hill and lack boundaries, to have solid boundaries around like let's say you start helping people and then they start asking for too much and they're draining you. So that kind of energy, right? Because you're an empath. Um, so aside from that, hmm, let me think. Yeah, I think there's also an element of like being comfortable being yourself. and being more humble, like definitely, and yeah, like less critical of other people as well, which comes from like being less critical of self. Um, and really like, this aspect is it goes perfectly with your the fact that you have this, the Leo Aquarius, someone who needs to learn how to be their own individual self, right? Independent, comfortable also with the darker side of yourself, right? So it's like really kind of like, if the North Node is your shadow, if the Black Lilith is your shadow, and North Node's conjunct, it's like it's very instinctful. It's like for you to really be diving into that part of yourself and getting past, and it's like a karmic journey for you to get past that 12th house Virgo Black Moon Lilith, right? Um, so yeah, like being able to communicate with other people is very important with this. In like in the deepest, most formal way. And then just self acceptance, right? That's the key to your empowerment of your whole chart, self acceptance and finding that. So, in order to get that, you need to go on adventures. Leo is very adventurous, right? So it's through those adventures and those risks that you find a lot, right? So, yeah, and usually, yeah, so definitely create someone who's very capable, very strong, self-reliant, sexual. But like, yeah, the negative parts, I think they're gonna be like, uncomfortable with the sexuality, um, and learning how to really value it and take care of it, and to not like if there is like a kind of like, I guess, eccentric kind of sexual fantasy or nature, it's like about like, wait, okay, I just got scared. It's about like not demonizing yourself for that. So yeah, I thought I wasn't recording for a second. So yeah, so then Sun square Uranus is yeah, like I said, it's like it's the ultimate rebel placement, and someone who is very, very impulsive, who gets these downloads, adds to your Aquarius energy. Um, they need to do things their own way. There's no telling these people what to do, and no stopping them either once they made their mind. Super good for leadership, and yeah, just someone who can, almost like, the difficult part of it is where they're so rebellious that they might just be doing things, um like, let's say there's like something that's objectively good and the choice A is objectively good, but that's the one that's being pushed on you a little bit, and choice B is objectively bad. That person might take choice B just to be rebellious. You see what I mean? And it can kind of just like create like tension with like more traditional people. um I've seen this a lot though, this placement. A lot of times it is around the age like what, like 52, that things make sense around that age, or that, like, that you really, really move into life purpose, but not for everyone. And there's several people have several life purposes. Okay, moving on. So that very same Uranus is in the second house. So that creates lots of like karma, like that creates a minimalist a lot of times. So there's lots of ups and downs with income, right? Like money's here at one moment, next it's gone. So it totally links with your Chiron in Taurus, right? Because like it's also about valuing your own originality, which goes back to the whole thing we talked about this whole time, right? Um, and not being so obsessed with like the external kind of like how much money you make, how much, possessions, your job, all that. So with your Chiron in Taurus, right, in the eighth house, that also is about sexuality, right? So that's also about like, feeling inadequate sexually, but also like, being like someone who can be a great healer, an intuitive healer, and who's really, really sensitive, like the undercurrents of the world, the painful ones. But in Taurus,
there's like a crisis of values, right? We all have chiron placements. It's like where our pain is, you know? So in Taurus, lack of self-worth can come up. This is actually me in the and I'm making this story, but like, you know, now the recording comes back, but like, you know, that was like 10, 15 seconds, maybe 20 seconds that time of that. So any help would be
Someone please help me. Like,
I just posted a story because that happened again. This just started happening. Totally kills flow. Readings, it's fine. It's fine. Like if it's temporary, but if this is a permanent, if this is a permanent problem, that's very serious. Any help or guidance would be so appreciated. Just trying to get my work done. This is the fifth or sixth. I lost count. Interruption in this reading. Okay, I'm gonna post this. People, and then I have to say, okay, here I have a very like good and expensive Dell XPS. I'll say I never ever had this issue. Sorry for doing this now. It's just like really annoying. I have to get out. Never ever had this issue, and I was doing readings at my mom's and didn't have this problem. Do I need to delete different Wi-Fi? No, that would make sense. Delete anything or reset anything. I am so bad with tech. Okay, so it's out. So yeah. Anyways, what can you do? The good part is that it's not gonna affect the reading only in the way that like it's having creating these pauses, but um the quality of the reading at least. So where was I? I was talking about Uranus in the second house and just how it connects with Chiron in eighth, and just how you know, you have Vesta on Chiron also. So just yeah, overall like you know, people with this sometimes they distrust their body, sometimes they don't see their body as beautiful. But it's really about learning to rely on your body's experiences, and really learning. It's really about finding that self-esteem, right? The Chiron moon in Taurus can be around, um, the body or the sense of sense of self, and in 8th house it could be linked to sexuality, um, or feeling too much of the painful undercurrents of the world, and like the 12th house Saturn said, taking a lot on as your own that's not yours. So it kind of makes sense, doesn't it? And it makes sense to me. And Vesta conjunct Chiron, that means that you could like literally work as a healer. Vesta is like Saturn, but like more like chill. It's like it's about work, right? So if I connect Vesta, it's about dedication and service, right? Focus, behavior, efficiency. So yeah, it's like, yeah, very Saturn like. um which, Saturn's about work, but Vesta tends to like work better than Saturn, or at least point to areas where one is less resistant to like have to take up the responsibility. Like, you know what I mean? It's like less of a burden. Um, so yeah. Maybe I'll make a post about this soon. But yeah, so I think that this would actually make you like work really, really hard at getting past whatever, if there is that sexual stuff. Now, Chiron 8th house can also, represent sexual trauma, you doesn't always, but yeah. Or trauma related to some deep fears, but overall it's someone who's meant to be a healer. And you have a lot of Chiron squares your sun, squares your Venus, so that's very significant. But anyways, yeah, like so yeah, the square with the sun um is basically just that could be like a father wound, and just like a childhood wound that makes it difficult for that Leo to shine, right? And a lot of times it's connected with the father, and it can make someone like lack self-confidence. And at the same time, Chiron is about like bringing these like your unique talents and things that make you great into the light. So um yeah, it's very, very good for being a healer, but it can be difficult. um and Yeah, so Venus, was it Venus? Yeah, yeah. Venus. So Venus is also in that square. So okay, so Venus in Leo, like I said, it wants to have fun in relationships. It wants things to be light, typically. Um, but with Chiron squaring it can create lots of pain in relationships. Where it can be difficult to like really experiencing that closeness and that joy and beauty, at least at the start of life. And it's basically just like connects. It's all connected to like the early childhood wounds, and gain that ability to be vulnerable. So yeah. Okay. So I haven't even talked about Mercury. It's unaspected. Why do I see so many unaspected Mercuries in retrograde? I guess it's like conjunct Venus, but it's like nearly 8 degrees. Um, so do I give that unaspected status? Pretty much, yeah. Um, well, okay. So Mercury retrograde people, they're very right-brained. Sometimes they can project like present day personalities of people in their lives on like they can project past life people on or roles that are unresolved onto present people in their lives. So there's like a big need to like watch out for that. But basically, it signals that that you weren't, in this case, that you weren't able to get your true voice out. it goes perfectly with the past life theme, right? So in this life, it tends to make someone, a little bit like of an overthinker. And then they grow into it, and very, very right brain, very abstract. So there can be some pain in early schooling sometimes you know, when they or if they didn't learn like in that very like Capricornian kind of like logical manner. But yeah, it's really to me, from a current perspective, I see Mercury retrograde in this position is like, okay, so what's the polarity point, Um, Aquarius. So, by having like a creative outlet, that's like the ultimate healing, right? That's the ultimate healing, and it makes things make more sense. So you can like be very, very good with like the highest abstract concepts. So then when it comes to like, the very easy logical stuff, it can be difficult. Um, yeah. So that's kind of that. What else can I say about retrograde planets? Yeah, I guess with Mercury, yeah, just like going over, like kind of like yeah, that like always going over like prior events and lessons, and like really having the thought process based on like the subconscious rather than the conscious mind. Um, so yeah, and a lot of times that they're made to feel like they're less intelligent than they really are as kids. Um, but it's not true. But it makes one very capable of tapping into like the very like deep collective unconscious energies, right? Um, so yeah. And also one thing with Mercury retrograde I've noticed is that they know more than they can consciously communicate. So that can be really frustrating, right? When you like these things, but then like you don't know how to really like say it all, but you're right. Um, so yeah. So you need to make sure not to get like so preoccupied with like the form of your ideas, because that can like create barriers around like um the essence, which is the most important part, is the essence of your worldview and your ideas, So yeah, anything that's not non-verbal, music, painting, whatever, that's the best. A lot of musical geniuses, artistic geniuses have this. Um, so yeah, I guess I can kind of leave it at that. And yeah, during times of Mercury retrograde, it'll feel more chill for you, while everyone else is freaking out. So yeah, I think 15% of the population or something have that, so it's not very common. Um, so let's see, is my Zoom still working? Yes. Okay. So wow. Okay. Yeah. So overall, no aspects of the Mercury though. So it's interesting because like Mercury retrograde usually is quite shy, but like no aspects besides like the Venus conjunction that's pretty far can make someone just like very just just saying like just no filter like in terms of like their thoughts, but like also like with their communication they can just say stuff. Like I remember I had not teacher, but someone I worked with in the astrology world who's older than me, and she had unaspected Mercury, and she would just say things sometimes, just like, and you'd think like there's no discernment, there's no checks and balances from the other planets. But with Venus close by, you'd think that would add some kind of like you know, um, kind of beauty to the way of speaking. All right, Black Moon Lilith in the 12th house. Like I said, I think that's just about escapism and self-delusion and kind of the imaginary world, and yeah, like just the need to learn self-discipline and just also to protect yourself spiritually, right? And to not, and like I already went over that with the Virgo, like to not like be super self-critical of yourself and to allow yourself to be do the best you can do. If the best you can do one day is this, and the next day it's this, the next day it's this, to just go with it. Still try your hardest, but like never like judge yourself too critically. Because like yeah, there can be a feeling of like needing to like live up to other people's high standards, right? So yeah. Um yep. Expectations, the vicious cycle of those. So anyways, okay, so then let's see. So yeah, Mercury and Leo by itself, like just makes learning fun, Sometimes they can be know-it-alls, but yeah, very enthusiastic in terms of your communication style and um just like kind of how you get knowledge and whatnot. I'm very proud of it. Um and then the 11th house, like even though it's in retrograde, like just like how important it is for you to communicate with your friends and with the people that you study with, or the people that you have common beliefs with, the groups that you're a part of, and just like everything related to like your grand goals. Now Mars, we haven't really talked about, is also unaspected at 0 degrees. So that's like in Cancer, that's someone who really wants to make a mark on the world in a very humanitarian way and fight for causes they really believe in, right? Also very protective of like their family and especially the mother. Usually there's a big attachment to the mother. Um, so yeah. But there can also be that escapism, that retreat into the shell that the Cancer can have. Now it is close to the midheaven though; it's 10 degrees away. So in 10th house, that makes someone very ambitious, and they really want to have like independence within their career. When the midheaven is in Cancer, that can mean a lot of things. That can mean that your like dharma is literally about being a mother, right? Or it can be like also like real estate or restaurants or something like that, right? That's Cancer, like having a career that like where you're hospitality, like something where you're making other people feel at ease, even healing, right? But you have a 5th house moon, which could be connected to children too, and the current importance of those. Um, so yeah. But yeah, I think midheaven and Cancer, there's a need for like a very safe and secure profession, and like an emotional attachment to your profession. And on aspect of Mars, that is what I said about that aspect of Mercury, but with action, like just doing. Even in Cancer, which is a weak Mars position, um, it's still someone who can just go, and it's close to an angle, so it is a rather strong Mars, and someone who can just like go. So it's really important to have that restraint. Um, you know, it can make someone very yeah, there can be like anger, aggression, but like very action oriented, but like quick tempered. And Mars and Cancer can be known for their passive aggression. So it's really important to like have strong communication skills, which with the retrograde Mercury, you spend the start of your life like thinking about like what's the best way for me to come across? How do I really communicate my point? That's why it stays more in house. Um, so yeah. Um, yeah, definitely like an outward, very like direct, instant kind of like this is it, especially with the Leo and the Aquarius moon, which is like I don't give a fuck, whatever. So but then the Libra rising is like balancing things, and the Pluto on the ascent on the rising is like power. Um, okay, so yeah, with love, obviously, like I said, Venus and Leo, need for adventure, need for fun, need for love. Then you have the same, very okay, I did it again. I think that's 6 or 7. But yeah, so that was very fast though. So with Juno, I just wrote an article about it in Gemini, in Venus in Leo, that's really good. And that those basically, you like you really your need for like a deep partnership is someone who it stimulates you, someone who gives you that stimulation. And it also sextiles your sun. So someone who helps you move towards that kind of like very individualistic side of yourself. Communication is so important for you. So having someone that you really are on the same page with and that you can really learn a lot from. And it's ninth house, Juno also. So maybe it's someone from a different culture, or just like, some like really wanting to like be very philosophical with your partner, um, and traveling, all that stuff. Exploration. Mars in Cancer, it's gonna make you like really like more. It's gonna add like kind of like a little different energy, like a little bit of like touchiness and sensuality to the mix. At least when it comes to like the physical component. And yeah, in the moon Aquarius, once again, it's like it's all about space, and you know, th- and the, it's all about space, giving space, receiving space, and people and someone who really understands you for yourself, for who you are, and your Juno trines your moon, so they make perfect sense, really needing that air. Um, and you have that a grand trine if you can't count the asteroids in grand trine between Moon, Juno, and Pluto ascendant. So yeah, so that's kind of like, but I don't know. I don't really count asteroids in the grand trines. You do though. Let's see. No, any grand trines. Hmm. But yeah, Juno opposite Neptune, that's just like energy of like really, really needing to watch out for self-delusion and delusion when it comes to partners, right? But really ultimately wanting like a very like at the same time like to experience the divine and high romance and high spirituality through the relationship, but in a fun and intellectual way. Um so yeah, anyways, Neptune the third, though, is basically just like that gives someone like amazing ability to communicate through the arts and spiritual pursuits. But then they can have like a scattered mind, so they need to like kind of spend time alone, which the North Node 12th house is also asking you to spend time alone to kind of sift through things, to really sift through things, right? And be like, okay, this is mine, this is not mine, this is mine, this is not mine, that kind of stuff. Okay. And yeah, even Venus is trine Neptune, so that's like the ultimate like creativity, like that's like one of the best aspects for creativity. It gives you a mix of the inspiration, right, and the imagination of Neptune with the actual creativity of Venus, which rules your chart. And then Neptune also trines your sun, so that is a very nice aspect. Making someone very empathetic, very sweet, someone who really can, yeah, who can really feel the undercurrent and yeah, being gifted through your communication, and even writing, right? So yeah, really intuitive, creative, with artistic talents, and able to really attract people with that warmth that you have. So okay, so that's pretty much, yeah. So okay, what have I not covered? Let's see. Well, part of fortune series in Aries in the seventh house, basically. So your descendants in Aries, that adds even more to like wanting someone that is like action oriented, that can enliven that inner child. Um, Maybe even take charge a little bit. And having Ceres there, it's like your second moon, right? So it's like, in the seventh house, it makes you very like fun loving and caring towards your partner. Um, but really, feeling nurtured when um, get that same love you're giving in return, but there can be potential for codependency. you have to watch out for that. But in Aries, that's like opposite, right? That's like where you really happen again, hopefully for the last time. Wow. But this time it's like happening for like it's like stopping the recording for like literally 2 or 3 seconds. But anyways, so Ceres and Aries, yeah, basically just like yeah, just like it goes with the moon Aquarius, like letting people be is the best way like nurturing people by letting people like be themselves and having space, um, and expecting the same return, and then yeah, suffering if you feel caged in any type of way. Um, so part of fortune in the seventh is like you're at your best when you're in these relationships that are very fulfilling in respect to your independence and to your you know to the goals they're set forth with the acquire the individualism. Um, and then Vesta in the eighth by itself, it's like all about like being very very good at like really really driven towards discovering like the mysteries of life, the esoteric, all that stuff. So yeah, like you can get uncomfortable. People are like not down to get past the superficial, and able to work like in a very persistent manner also with Taurus there. Vertex in the eighth also, that's like using nature to your advantage, going on hikes, like I said before, just really also tantric sex, things like that, music, anything that works like the senses that is great. And eighth house vertex is someone who learns a lot through very intense kind of relationship experiences usually. I mean, yeah. And yeah, they can be very intense and explosive sometimes, but they really give you that kind of death rebirth transformation that's needed. And yeah, so aside from that, let's just see if there's any asteroids that are. And how long? Is this over 2 hours? Oh my god! Oh god, I try to keep them shorter, but nope. Okay, so let's just see if there's anything that stands out. Anything that's on any of the important points in the chart. So Union conjunct Saturn, that just like gives real potential for like very long lasting relationships. Um, so Sun doesn't have anything too close to it. Karma is the closest one to your sun, asteroid wise. So I mean that kind of speaks for itself. Is that like I mean, do I really have to say it? It's conjunct your Venus. So Karma conjunct Venus and Sun. It's like just like how much of a role karma and balancing out karma is playing in your love life and just in your life in general. Now, then Aphrodite on your Jupiter, Aphrodite is just like the beauty, so that make someone very beautiful. It makes someone very like seductive and just have that Aphrodite beauty. So Jupiter makes everything bigger. So it would tend to do that. Um, okay. So I like stare into this computer because I can't tell like there's so many numbers scrunched together of all the different asteroids. That is this 28, 0. I legit cannot see. There's a better system for this. So 20, 20, 16, 15, no, 15, 13, 13, 10, 9, 0. I got it. So I wouldn't say that that one is close enough. Um, it's 10, 24. Yeah. So it's this one. Okay, I see. So child and serious are at 13. Yeah. So I mean, I guess that would be good for money. But I'll look into that in a second. Um, okay, nothing here. Also, having Eris on the descendant can make relationships quite explosive, I must say, especially in Aries. Well, I mean, yeah, it's been Aries forever. Okay, with the moon, yeah, I already talked about having Pallas there, huge. And then Eros is not close enough. Okay, nothing else in here, nothing here. Yeah, so that's pretty much everything. So anyways, you'll get the compatibility one. Let me just look one thing up really quick. Um, so yeah, like if I'm in the zone to do that one tomorrow, I'll do it tomorrow. We'll see. Um, like I said, with those ones, I have to be in, I have to look into some things beforehand and be in I can't just jump into those. Um, so it's at 14, isn't it? So let's clear up these points and let's see. Yeah, that's not flying. That's not working. That's not, yeah, that's not something viewing. So yeah, that's it. So you have the compatibility. Pretty sure I need to like recheck things, but after that, we've probably already talked about this. Oh, you said just reading because you have compatibility with follow-up. So we have a follow-up for the compatibility. Um, so yeah, you can let me know if you want to, because with the compatibility um, follow-ups, we're only talking about that. Like we're just focusing on that. So you can let me know if I already talked about this. I'm sorry, I don't remember conversations. I have too many of them. Just imagine. Um, but yeah, basically, um, my advice, unless like money is an issue or whatever, would be um to have one. Let's see. Oh, you just sent me. I just opened your message before I ended. Interesting. Okay. So let me read. I have such no idea. Question. This is good that I like open your message right before I was gonna end the recording. Hmm. Interesting. You said okay. You said like my hub, nothing is perfect. I don't feel the intense love I feel for him back from him. I did make reference to that energy in this reading, didn't I? I forget where it was. In fact, I feel like I get on his nerves. I told him that. Okay, I got you. So yeah, this is why the compatibility reading is going to be really interesting, and the follow up for that. Um, and I'll just finish what I was saying before, which is that I would highly suggest getting a a double compatibility where it's like you know first hour is just all about this reading, and then after that, and we can even do an extended one, um, where we do it all about the compatibility one. But yeah, I feel you. I understand. With the love stuff, I'm not gonna say it out loud, even though like it's completely confidential and your name's nowhere here. Um, I understand that things can get stagnant in relationships. We'll have to take a look. So this second one is more. The second part of what you said is probably more for. I'm gonna write it down here to like okay, yeah, I already wrote it down. But like I'm like, okay, reread DMs with new. Okay, so stop asking me, don't scratch me. So yeah, that's the thing, is that with that Aquarius energy, um, there can be that kind of pullback that but then like, having even 0 degree Cancer, it's like a very new energy, very new and let me go back to it. Let's see. Yeah, okay. So yeah, with Venus and Leo, I was telling you about how that just it definitely like there needs to be that appreciation. You need I'm talking this. You need to feel that appreciation. Um and I literally said it exactly before I read this message. Like, you need to like feel that reciprocation from the partner. So yeah, that's interesting. And then also, with yeah, just in terms of like communication being so important, right? And then with the attraction thing, like that's that's in your chart, that's like with the Jupiter and the Sun, like it's gonna be there. And I feel you. And I would just say that, that's not uncommon, right? Like to be in relationships, you get to know the person so well, you're so used to them that the spark can kind of not die, but kind of, can be dwindled, right? You realize no human's perfect. And then, like a perfect stranger, like someone that but you just see them at their best, or maybe you see them like, uh, a few times per day, you see them occasionally, and different ideas can enter the head. Remember, I said Neptune opposite Juno can definitely bring that kind of confusion into that area. So yeah. And just like that, the thing with you, with all your love energy, it's very, very action oriented. We'll talk more about that when I do this one. So the first thing you said, um, message you right now. I'm actually gonna send you voice messages. Okay, so I'm finishing your nail reading right now. It was a miracle that I opened up your message right before I was gonna stop recording. So I'm like kind of talking about like this last message you sent right now. Um, a lot of it I'll address in the compatibility one, but yeah, one thing is that I'm having big technological issues. It shouldn't affect the reading, but basically like you'll see like this basically the Zoom like something's up with my Wi-Fi with my computer where it's like my Wi-Fi, which I've never had problems with, is just like off. Um, so like the Zoom, it happened I think 7 times. So like I'm talking, and then all of a sudden it's like says like Zoom reconnecting. So basically, like on your end, it should just look like me talking, and then almost like I took like a little pause, but then I just get right back to talking about what I was talking about. But yeah, I'm trying to find a solution to this. I mean, I need to, but it did not impact. I mean, as long as the recording is fine, the audio is fine, everything like that, which I tested and did sound good. It should not impact that at all. Um, but yeah, it's more of like a long-term problem with me. I just posted in my story, like if this is something that persists, like I can't have this. But yeah, so I'm just finishing up now, and I'll get you the link when it uploads. Like I said, the Wi-Fi's been really messed up, which I live in the country with the best Wi-Fi in the world. Romania, believe it or not, has the best Wi-Fi in the world, but something's happening. I think it's my computer because on my iPad it worked perfectly, but then I don't want to just do like all my readings on my iPad because I don't know if I have unlimited cloud. I could maybe actually do that. But then I can upload them to YouTube, which it's just like I don't know. I feel like it's just better because it's just so much easier for someone like yourself, like to, just save that link and like, 3, 4 years down the line to just be able to like look at it as opposed to like having to like save this password for this iCloud or for this like the Zoom cloud recording. But anyways, yeah. So I'm finishing this up and I'll send you this, and then if then yeah, the compatibility will be done potentially tomorrow, or just it's the next reading on the list, but I have to be like in the compatibility mode. So if that's tomorrow, it's tomorrow. If it's not, it's soon, basically. And then yeah, we'll figure out what the follow-ups. I suggested getting one for each. Uh, but yeah, we'll figure it out. You'll see this reading and you'll determine like if you want to get a follow-up that's just for this one and you already have one for the compatibility, or just only for the compatibility. So yeah, okay, finishing up. So yeah, with the kids stuff, right? Disciplinary, cold. So okay, so you're an Aquarius moon, so that could speak to the coldness part, right? But your moon's in the fifth house. There's obviously a huge like need for you, and with Pallas on your moon, to tap into your intuition, um, and to kind of mother from your intuition, right? Um, maybe even like in like an unconventional way, right? That's like your own way of mothering. Um, and you said your mom was like that with you. Yeah, and you're kind of afraid that like that they'll resent you for that. Well, look, okay, so I think they're like, okay, so like I was disciplined by my dad, and I hated it at the time, but I wouldn't have had it any other way. Like I mean, like I wasn't like disciplined like in a horrible way, but I think it helped shape me into the man I am. And I think that like as long as it's tough love, I think that I think that it's needed. I mean, it's needed if it's unless as long as it's not like something that's like coming from you and it's like malicious and it's like coming like where they don't deserve it. But if it's like just like being a disciplinarian, um, and you think it's needed for their higher development, then I mean, it's something we can talk about if we do a follow-up for this one. That's why like I always suggest follow-ups for each one. Which like I said, it would be a back-to-back follow-up. But yeah, like I think that as an Aquarius moon, and that's also why I always suggest people getting. Let me tell you all these services I do. I always suggest people to do like the best gift you can best thing you can do for your children is to get like readings for them. I do family readings. It's one of my specialties. I link the whole family together. It's like I absolutely love doing it. But I also do like the individual charts for the kids. And my point in saying that was not to sell you on those readings, which I would give you for a great discount, but was to say that use an Aquarius moon. There's going to be more of a detachment than if you had a kid, let's say, that has like a Cancer moon or a Pisces moon, something really a Scorpio, something really sensitive, So it's really about kind of understanding each child's karma, blueprint. From my perspective, I highly suggest doing that. And for those just like I would do like just 3 readings and just like one follow-up, and I would be willing to have to have that one follow-up session. You have to remind me of this, but I'd be willing to have that one follow-up session be um cover all 3. But like just no, in essence, like understand that your Aquarius moon might make it make it a little bit more difficult for you to kind of like feel how that's affecting them. But at the same time, 5th house moon, like you're really giving them a lot emotionally and you're gaining a lot emotionally. So yeah. So anyways, that's about it. Hopefully there's no issues with this recording. I'd be very sad. I would literally be heartbroken. But it was a pleasure, and I'll talk to you later. Ciao, and I'll see you soon with the compatibility. All right. Bye.